Hello Insta, as always sending loads of love and positive energy to everybody out there. It's Jay here from Lads Talk Health, just waiting for my beautiful mate Harry Thomas to join in. Anyway, like I said, hoping everybody's enjoying being currently. It's all still up in the air a bit really, isn't it, with what's going on, but still I hope people are at least enjoying being there, being themselves. Hello Harry Thomas. You coming on, mate?
Hello.
Hello.
You alright?
Fantastic, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. Third chat today.
I know. Good, isn't it?
Been eventful few weeks of connecting with all sorts of people at the moment, all over the world, and that's it's getting quite interesting actually. The conversation coming from.
Definitely. It's interesting as well. Although, like you said, from different parts of the world, the conversations just flowed, didn't they? They really just flown. Just straight away as well. It's so easy just to go in when you're talking about stuff that's meaningful, and then someone else you can just see in them like just the interest in wanting to have that same chat and enjoy it. Just like today, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Prime example, Ken Primus. Shout out to you, Ken. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I think when you talk about topics that everyone relate to, but they relate it in their own way, from their own stories and their own experiences. And it makes it more interesting as well because it's like a different dynamic or a different approach someone else is then speaking. It's like, I don't know, that's a great way. Like the way that he kind of explained his being present, his now. That was really powerful.
Mm. Yeah, he went into flow. That was really cool when he went into flow. But he was just such a nice bloke. Again, completely just shows you how that, definitely quite a lot older than us. Complete different background to us, but just straight away, the three of us bouncing off each other with meaningful stuff as well. It's just, especially when we're talking about health and cancer, and this is important stuff. It really is, because it does, as you always say, it affects so many people. Like so many people within that will watch this video, their friends and their it's just one of them things that's rife. So yeah, it was a good one.
I think whenever you're talking health as well, health can be determined in so many different like stances. But ultimately, health impacts us. We talk about that still can be fed through to each person, and that ask it about being your best self and the roles that you play. Like everyone can ask that question to themselves: How can I be my best self at this point? How can I improve my health right now? And that internal dialogue is it's a great way to connect with.
Thing is, them 4 points: ego, soul, being present in you now, and your best self. That they're prevalent in every single situation all the time. Whenever you've got something to face, you're gonna have your ego spouting off initially. That's the panic mode. Then the soul will come through if you're looking into it and listening to it. That brings you present because you get the calm come in. And then obviously it's right, what choice do I make to be my best self, high Fatma? So it's those 4 chapters which are on our meditation workshop, which starts this weekend, by the way, people. Please inquire if you've not already. Reach out. Thanks for the people who already have. But these are really important factors in your life, especially the ego. That first one is a big one. And there's the response you get from people. I remember my response when I started learning about what a big role the ego plays in your life. And it's scary when you start acknowledging your ego and how often it's automatically kicks in. And then you start thinking, oh my God, I can't believe that. That's my response to. It's really interesting, and it's a great way to start off. And it's interesting how I was just thinking about the workshop. You know, the order. You know, week one obviously being the ego. It's both of our journeys. You know, like as in that's the order it went in, wasn't it? For yourself as well. It's the same. It's the same for anyone looking into meditation. The first thing is, well, I can't do it a lot of the time. I just can't do it. I can't quiet my ego straight away. It's the first thing that kicks off once you can start just acknowledging it, learning from it because it doesn't go away. But it's a game changer. It really is life changing, and that's, do you know what? That's relevant with the people that we're working with because it comes out in abundance from them people.
Yeah, I think the key part as well is what we mentioned earlier, the experience. Once you become aware of it, and then instantly it's there. That voice is talking to you the whole time. You're like, ah, that's your ego. So now we've got mutual grounds that we both understand each other, and then you can go and elaborate on what ego actually determines in all these other areas of our life as well. It's like that imposter, when we're angry, when we react, when we do things when we're not even thinking about it. There's like ego is so many of those. When we're upset and we're feeding off of other people's energy, when we have to make a point of, oh, I did that, I've seen that first, I've done that, that's ego. It's everywhere.
It is, and it's self-persecuting, which again is why once you become aware of it, it's like a weight that gets lifted because you're aware of the fact that you've got a choice then to make, to not self-persecute and make that decision that you know you don't really want to make. Guess what? You don't make it. Just don't listen to your ego. Acknowledge it, all right, and then go with what actually you want to do, because that's the important thing. What you really want to do will always be from that inner place, and it will align with your morals. What you want to do will be the right thing for you. It always will. What you really want to do will be the right thing for you. It's when we go egotistically that often we make a bad decision, and that's definitely from experiential knowledge. Again, you ain't got to read books, or there are great books out there with people. I mean, Eckhart Tolle, his stuff on ego is phenomenal, obviously. But you can experience it. These people, you know, we can talk about it, make someone else like that. What I loved what Ken said today. He said, you know, it's when you do these conversations and you get that energy with the person. It's even if one person that listens has the slightest benefit from it, that can make them think, oh, I'm glad I listened to that. I'm going to make a decision now to not do that anymore. You just think, yeah, then that was like, he said it like Denzel Washington, didn't he? But he said it brilliant. But yeah, that's what I want from these chats. That's what we said from the beginning, isn't it? Even if you get one person that listens and goes, yeah, I can resonate, and I'm glad I listened to that tonight. It's made me think differently, then we're winning.
Is there any things like over your, I guess in the last year or so, where it was like a real ego role playing in your life where you're like, wow, that's like you've kind of untangled it quite a lot now? Is there anything that stands out for you where it was really ego driven?
I think it's probably more now over the last 2 years. It goes further back. Because the thing is, for me, this is my experience, and it seems to be mirrored with the people that I work with. When it comes to, you do start becoming aware of your ego, it's quite a quick transition. Because when you become aware of your ego, again, for me, this is how it felt. I was quite embarrassed by some of the inbuilt choices that I would go to make, and especially from, as I touched on, nearly a couple of years back now. Oh no, it's not even been that long, has it? It has been about a year, really. And I'm thinking about when the stuff came, when you spoke about it I said to you about with Leo, just how much I realised my ego had driven what I thought were good choices as a dad, but then how much they'd actually held him back, and then just by implementing holding the space. Do you remember that was something that really kicked me in the stomach, because it was like, oh my God, this whole time, all I've had to do is just wait a bit longer. Don't be so quick to jump in and talk for him, or trying to guess what he's going to say, especially being that Leo had issues with talking because of his ears when he was younger. So he was always a tiny, tiny bit behind, bless him. So yeah, that's a classic example. But it was instant though, Harry. So I became aware of it, and it wasn't like it untangled. It just exploded straight away, and I was like, fuck. Whoops. But that was a shock. So but then I remember saying to you at the time, I remember saying when I was working with Jess as well, and I said to Jess, just how quickly it filters into the rest of your life. So this is why it is genuinely that life-changing, because of all the roles we play within our life. As soon as you become aware of your ego, you can't help but notice how it differs in different roles you play as well. You've got so many different versions of your ego once you start looking into it. And then once you eradicate it as much as you can, and you can be quite in your now, because you become present rather than playing these roles, then yeah, things happen quickly. Everything untangles, because you're just thinking from a point of view which is, this is genuinely what I think and feel about this situation. I know because I've heard the internal dialogue go off, and I've stuck to my guns on this one. This must be a soulful choice.
Yeah, it's like you said, the multifaceted parts of the ego. It's not just this is the ego and it's this one thing. There's so many different stuff. So the conversation, I'm noticing it all the time now. From people don't let you speak. They yeah. They're trying to answer it for you. They're not listening to you. Or one of my pet hates before is I'm talking and someone will finish my sentence for me, but they say something that I wasn't going to say. I weren't saying that. That's ego. And aggression, anger, that's ego too. It's like, could you have been nicer in that situation? If you could have been nicer at your best, that would have been your soul. That's pure love. That's truth. But the ego is that imposter, because that's not you. You put on an act of being horrible. You put on an act of being spiteful. That's ego. And when you can identify these different roles and the different parts ego plays, it is that slap in the face sometimes. Like, whoa, it's unconscious. They're just automatic reactions. They're inbuilt beliefs. They're values that we've taken on from our parents and from the social circles, that we just expect things are a certain way. And our ego then holds on to that. And I think going around the world traveling has really been a big eye-opener, because you start seeing people live a completely different way, have different values in life, but yet they're still happy, they're still enjoying their time. So this way that they're living, my ego would say that's wrong. No, that's not right. I've been told it's this way. That's another great thing about what we do now, is we are meeting people from all walks of life. And when that ego gets removed, because they have been told they're very sick, they have been told that they're going to die. But you always say there's no more ego to be in that part. There's nothing to hold on to. It's like, right, my soul's coming through now and really expressing myself.
Yeah, and it's always a common that we hear. The regret of leaving things too late, again, before they've expressed themselves in some way, normally to some relationship which they just wish they'd have played their best self a bit more, to have known that they would have given their all in that relationship. So it's leading with our souls, and I know it still sounds hippie to some people, but I know it will resonate with. Forgetting that inner, just that gut instinct, like you say, just a gut instinct. We all know we've got this inherent gut instinct that everyone has experienced times where you've gone with it, and it's just, but you've been like, oh my God, like, thank God I went with my gut. And then there's other times you haven't, and you thought, why didn't I go with my gut? There's a knowing, there's a feeling that evokes almost like a truth. So if we accept we've all got this thing within us, which obviously is quite powerful, because like I said, we've all experienced the examples I've just given when there've been powerful situations and you feel and you just go on and you go, oh, fuck, yes, that was the right thing. Is you've got to surely accept then, especially with this day and age and the amount of mental health that is about and that's relevant and the stresses people are feeling, anxieties and depressions, the importance of maybe starting to put into practice just a bit of work on being present in yourself. Just simple little exercises where you just do a breathing exercise for 3 minutes in silence. And I'm not kidding, these things change lives. I'm hearing it every day. So are you, Harry. I know that these little exercises you start, because that's the thing. A lot of people think to change, it's got to be a big change, and that's again what we're told. It's got to be. Your soul doesn't need a drastic change. Far from it. It just needs to be fucking acknowledged. So the change is just looking at your soul and going with those feelings, but doing these little exercises to bring yourself present, because that part of, again, the meditation workshop, chapter 3, is the now. Understand this as a truth which cannot be debunked. If you are being present in yourself, you physically have nothing to worry about at all. If you're being present in yourself at any single moment, because it's the only thing that we ever, as human souls, ever have control over, is what's going on right now. How obvious is that? Why? Because you can't do anything about the past, which doesn't define you anyway. You don't own it anymore. But the most important thing, you can't do anything about it because it's already happened. And you can't mystic meg it and start worrying about stuff that's not even happened yet, especially gauging off for stuff that's already happened in the past. Most of us live like that. Now imagine stopping and just living in the moment, each moment, not worrying. I know it sounds difficult, and I'm not saying I've perfected it, but just becoming aware of my ego, which would then tune me back into my soul, then allow me to realize what it is that I need to do to stay present. And that mainly is just taking time to look inwards, and it will change your role as a parent, as a husband, as a wife, as any of your roles. It's a guarantee will get better if you're present in those roles. It's 100% guarantee. There's no, it might work. It will fucking work every time if you become present in those roles. The outcome will be what you wanted because you're present in it. You're not gauging it. You're there in that moment.
Yeah, and that worry that you said, as soon as you worry, you're thinking future. You're not being present. Because if there's something that you need to do or hasn't been done, being present, like choice, what's my next action step right now? But the worry, it's not there, and it's, I'm guilty of it. There's certain things that happen or haven't happened, and I'm like, oh my god, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. But that stress and worry about it is not being present, and it's so simple, but yet it's difficult to grasp because it is that simple. Someone gave me a great example. One of my clients the other day, he just said he had a massive insight in the morning of his running late for work again, and he was rushing, just rushing. Rushing is a form of worry, stress state. He said, trying to get the keys and doing all this just to get out the door. And it hit him as like, okay, well, acceptance. I think that's a key word here. I am here right now because of what I've done here. So it's accepting that I am late, but me rushing and stressing about it, or me just going, what do I need to do? I'm late. What do I need to do? Okay, I need to get my keys first. I'm going to go up here. You're just saving your energy at that point. And that awareness, which is now, is the thing that then can make our body calm. It makes our mind more clear. It makes our actions a lot easier to go through without making mistakes, without knocking things over. And also, you'll then remember more of where your keys are because you're late. You'll remember where your bag is, where you've been just searching frantically for it for the last part because you're worrying about getting to work.
Yeah, and that example, that's not a joke. I know for a fact myself, thank goodness not anymore, but if I was to misplace my keys, it instantly became everybody else's fault other than my own, and it could lead. And I know I'm not alone in this because I've seen plenty of blokes do this as well. And I look now and I see it happen now. Oh, it happened the other day because obviously we live in Spain. Sometimes we go to hotels and stuff, or so you get by the pools, and some of the ways people talk to each other, you know, like in public, is oh. But anyway, seriously, that ego of how angry and you can get, and the thing is, you get so angry, then you find them, and you realise that that it was you that put them in this place, and often you still will not want to admit because your ego's still going at that point, and that could lead to getting in the car, getting into road rage. This is how them things happen. And it was interesting when you were saying a minute ago when you was talking about going travelling. Do you know when you said about, you know, that really? Do you know where, in hindsight, what was a rude awakening to ego was when I got banged up, when I went to prison. That was just a cesspit of ego. And the mix, you knew no one wanted really to be playing the roles that you just automatically playing in there, and how volatile it was, but it was all ego. That was a real lesson, a humbling lesson for myself as well, that experience. And that was a complete egotistical experience when I look back on it. You can imagine what the ego levels are like in prison. But yeah, because when you were saying about going travelling, it came to me then, like in South, that was my first real awakening, because you're put in an all-male environment where you have to be egotistical because everyone's got to be tough. And you know, I'm telling you now, me included, not everyone that goes to prison is tough. And not everyone in prison who's pretending to be tough is tough either. And they normally get found out, funnily enough. But yeah, the amount of ego, mate, in that place was phenomenal. Crazy.
Football. I've football from the fans, but also on the players. That's so ego-driven. Not just what you see on the TV. I went back about 2 years ago playing vets team. I got invited some of the older lads, and people just unconscious. You just reacting nasty, you're shouting, like you're not paying attention at all. And when you're in this unconscious state, you get injured a lot more. You get yeah, it's really interesting. It's a character that you play. You play this horrible person on the football pitch, and oh, he's talking about, I'm going to get him, and like I think it's a training. And the more we do it on the loop, that becomes your character.
Exactly, there you go. Yeah, and how we build them roles. And you know, I know we're giving a couple of male examples, but I'm just thinking of someone recently that I'm working with in America. Lovely lady, and how funny enough, I took her through the meditation around ego and roles with it, and just the messages she's been sending me since. Because once you do start realizing these roles that you start building in these areas, and how many of them you don't align with, and you can reel back and instantly feel so much better about the situation. You didn't even realize that was weighing on you until you was aware of, what am I doing? And then that's gone, and we get rid of that. So it is, this stuff is, it really has, it's experiential knowledge. This comes from it's stuff that I'm learning all the time on the job. I'm learning from my clients all the time. I've got that young girl after this evening. It'll be another insightful. I take notes now. I said at the beginning I won't take any notes now. I take notes of her bombshells that she drops throughout the sessions. But point being, this is the beauty of the importance of all of this stuff that we're doing, and it's not because it's us that's doing it. We're just privileged to have chosen to get into this line of what it's not even work, is it? It's just so enjoyable. But we all need this stuff. Meditation as well. If you don't meditate and you're saying you don't want to meditate, I'm telling you, that's your ego. Try it. Actually try to meditate, and it it might take you a few tries, but you stick with it. As soon as you get that inner experience of calm, that's the first thing, calm, actual calm, where everything slows down, is a wonderful feeling. Then you can really run with it.
Mm-hmm. It's an unknown feeling for most, and when you first start doing it, because you go and search these amazing things, but just being calm is one of the most amazing things possible. And then again, once you find that level of calm, is what can be done then, and the creative side, like using other facilities like music and smells, and like really enhancing your senses within that calm state. But also, when you are calm, that's when we do communicate with our soul. It becomes a feeling. And the soul always speaks to us, telling you what you need to do, what you've forgotten about. Get that email done. Make sure you get back to that one. You've got to pay the bills. And it's like, ah. So then you go, the worry state. You then go back into ego and unconscious. So it's almost to trust in your soul and trust that what in and yeah, you might not want to do that at this point, but you've let it get to that stage, but just get it done. Make your life a lot easier, because all of a sudden you start getting these insights, these inner wisdoms, really, and you come like, whoa, where did that come from? And you remember it like that. It's like an internal knowledge that you've had all along, which then makes you present to go, okay, I've got a choice now. I can run with this new, or not new, this remembered bit of information that's just popped out of nowhere. Excited about the future of what you can start right away. It's meditation's incredible, and I just don't like that word because it's got so many egoic attachments.
Yeah, it's been tarnished. And the thing is, I mean, that the whole thing about the calm, even, is if you induce a state of calm in the body, you can put your body in a state of homeostasis, which is a state of healing. So actually, this is the whole point, especially with working with the people that are real that we work with, but not just them, people in general that are spiritually, soulfully weak and need a boost, is this stuff, it works. It works quickly. It's, like I said, it is a guaranteed product, and all the wisdom and knowledge comes from you. That's the beauty of it. Is you don't need to rely on anybody else, and that's the beauty of it as well. It is an inner thing, and that state of homeostasis is literally, look it up, it literally is your body's perfect balance. That is when miracles can happen with healing, literally. And we've seen that, you know, along with nature's medicines as well. We've seen incredible things, and it's always been because a person has taken back control just of their foundation. Right, hold on, I'm crying, lawyers. You said you can't do anything else. That's where you're at. I'm going to see what I can now do. And it's interesting. You'll find these stories all over the place, and it's inspiring.
Well, let's share maybe something for everyone listening in terms of just connecting with your soul, and that starts with just a question, just one simple question, because meditation can feel overwhelming. It can feel like a failure, that nothing happened, or my mind's gone on too many thoughts. But usually that is because there's no focus for the session for your soul to come up with. So asking yourself just one question and going into it with a song that me and James both recommend. It's called I Am a Man That Will Fight for Your Honor. And I guarantee that if you can just commit to, it's an 11-minute song. If you can just commit to that one song and take one question into it, and when you ask that question, you just close your eyes and just keep silently repeating the question to start with, you'll get an answer. You'll get a decision, you'll get more clarity, you'll get an insight that maybe you wasn't expecting if you set that intention initially. I think it's called Chris Jabronsky.
Something like that. That'll get him there. The amount of information you're giving. It's funny because we live by that song, Every single person I work with loves that song, loves it.
It does, yeah, it does something with the high notes as well. It like
The
pulls.
frequency, yeah, it's the frequency. It is. I was explaining to someone the other day that you know when Hollywood, like a James classic example, James Bond movie. Every James Bond movie on the trailer will have live orchestrated music. Why? Because the frequencies that they're emitting to tune you into is to get you to go, oh, hello. It gets the buying eyes on straight away. It gets you in. That's why they do it. So all these musics, that tunes that are used for these movies, they've all got that. That's where the marketing starts. That's where the programming starts. You hear it and you go, "Who's that then? Let's have a look into that." And if you notice, even with the James Bond ones, there's something slightly familiar, isn't there, about each one from the next. Yeah, I watched a really interesting documentary on it, on how this is how they get, and with kids' cartoons as well, how they'll get them in the mood with this, the start of the song for the cartoon may be different from the end of the song, and the way it's geared to get them hyped up for the cartoons is interesting. So point being, yes, mate, how many frequency healers are there out there as well? There's a lot of that really interesting stuff, which leads back to the water as well, having juice in the water.
We could do a whole episode just on that documentary. Because the more and more people that I'm introducing that to, the messages back from that alone then makes other people want to watch it. Because here's what I've found throughout my life. I've always advised people, and like I'm a personal trainer, I'm a tutor, I'm a coach, I'm advertising a meditation course at the moment. It's never my word that's powerful enough. It's when other people are like, oh, that was amazing. And this documentary just gets you present because you're showing information that you haven't been shown before. It's meaningful. As they're speaking, it literally just pulls you back to everything that led to your life. That can't be right now. That can't be right. And it just leaves you with all these questions. So that'd be another episode to come on to, because it's a big part of mine and James's journey, which is somehow magically managed to tie everything together to where we are at the moment. It's like you guys are on the right path. But I'm going to come back just to that song, I Am a Man That Fights for Your Honour, and to go into it just with one question. To make it even more powerful, write that question down on a piece of paper first, and then go into it. And then if you're not used to meditation or anything like that before, just find yourself a comfortable position. Doesn't have to be cross-legged, but just focus on the breath. So you silently repeat the question. A good analogy that I was shown was, imagine the question's a rock and you're standing on the edge of the cliff. You've got a massive lake. You ask the question, so you let go of the question, let go of the rock. Then the rock hits the water. You're now the observer. The ripples, that's manifest. So whatever happens is meant to happen, and all you're doing is noticing now. So when you ask a question, don't hold on to it. And that's the thing in our life, that there's so many things that we want and we need. We hold on to it so much and it doesn't happen, we get so frustrated. If you just let it go, and then just be aware, look out for the signs, as we say, listen out for the signs. There'll be things that will come back your way. It's law of attraction, what you ask for comes true. The more I've gone down this route now, the more I've understood that law is very, very real and it works very well. The misconception to it, though, is when we ask, we don't ask with enough clarity. And a good example I use is the Ferrari. Oh, I've asked for a Ferrari, didn't get it, I haven't got it. It's like, how specific was you? Was it a toy Ferrari, a second-hand Ferrari? Was it a half-beaten-up Ferrari? Was it a brand new one? Did it have leather seats? The universe is mostly showing you all these different Ferraris, but you're not paying attention because you've got one image in your head. But if you then broke down that Ferrari and just listed all of them, it's the same in relationships. Write down everything you want in a relationship, not what you don't want. Focus on your goals and be more specific with it. And when you start doing it, you'll see and hear and notice all the different things that will help you get towards it. And they will be there. And that's where the awareness comes in. So it's almost like, again, we use the past, present, future. It's ask for what you want, but be more clear on it. Then let go of it in the meditation. Your soul will go and create and all this stuff. And then when you come out again, if this all sounds woo-woo, But I'm asking you, give it a go, and you'll be surprised what can come back your way. I swear by it now. I've asked for things, and the one thing you'll never know is when. But having faith and knowing that you've been that clear on your instructions, you'll make things happen. Me and James have got one thing that we put out to the universe now as well, is our ultimate goal of our performance, doing a joint experience, selling out a stadium, lights off, with another song. But we know exactly what that looks like and feels like now. And each time now, something will come, oh, that'd be a great prop. That'd be a great bit to add into the experience. Like, we're now going through our life, pulling all these things that are coming and being presented to us, knowing that that's going to be even more.
That's right. And at its crux, all of this stuff, what it does every time, it makes you feel better about yourself, not a comparison against anyone else. It just makes you feel better in your own skin. How nice would that feel for so many people, which I unfortunately talk to, that start off with that, I can't stand, I don't feel comfortable in my own skin. Absolutely makes no sense. Have you ever been in anybody else's skin to compare it to? You know, think about the stuff we say. Like, it's going back to yourself and just appreciating the fact that you started off as a child, okay, funny enough, pretty egoless up until you're about 6 or 7 years old. First 7 years, you're just innovation. You're the God, you're creating everything. But we forget we started off like that, and then we get older and we look in the mirror, for a lot of us, we don't like what we see. That's your ego. Because your soul will always love what you see when it sees itself. Because it's the you, it's the inner child. The child that didn't mind being told, you know, you're beautiful, and actually taking it on board and thinking, thanks, Mum, and actually accepting it and knowing that's how I am. We forget these things. So at its crux, all of these things that we're describing, the guaranteed outcome is you start feeling better about yourself, in yourself. That in itself is worth investing. So jump on our meditation workshop, which starts this weekend. Runs for 4 weeks. It's going to be amazing. Reach out. Do you want to wrap up, mate?
Yeah. So again, Let's Talk Health is, we managed to define what we're about now every single time. Spirituality is really simplifying life. It's the entry point to life. But to make people come to their own decisions, be okay with their own decisions, but know that was the right decision because they're listening to their soul now. And it's a process, it takes time, but if we break down things into identifying the ego first, once you've identified that, you notice the soul, you notice your gut feeling, inner wisdom, intuition, you hear that little voice talking to you. And when you're paying attention to it, that means you're present. And when you're present, you have a choice. And it's your choice, it's your feelings. And then to encompass all of that, once you know that you're present, you've identified all the roles that the ego plays, now you separate it and say, how will I turn up as my best self? It's such a powerful question because we all can do better to where we have been. So right now it's like, what else could I be doing at this point? Growth, learning, helping others. Like, it feeds our soul. And once you start getting into these simple terms, then you can go and expand and going down so many other routes. Like, we keep mentioning meditation, but meditation has so many different annotations to it. Breath work, mantra, drums, music, like sound healing, there's loads just on that. And then when you start going into all these other areas, life gets a bit more exciting because everything that happens in your life impacts your life. And you learn and then growing throughout that, and also the conversations you have with other people. I can speak for James as well now. You light up a room because as soon as you say something that is very meaningful to that person, they want in us too because they get to share their story. They get to speak to you about their truths. And guess what? We're now listening to them because it's very interesting that they're now not being this ego character that they've been pretending to be. They're now coming out with soulful communications to us. And it just, like, yeah, the world at the moment is in a state of stress, suffer, fear, anger. if you ask people what's going on in their world, they're telling you what's not happening, that person not doing it. Tell me what you want then. Let me just hear that. Okay, now you've told me what you want. How can we make it happen? And you just start seeing people feed off of this energy with each other. So there's so much more to what we do than just having these conversations. There's a process behind it. There's a format that people can relate to, but also there's an exchange in energy, in conversations, in happiness. So that's my sign up for today. But check us out on our meditation workshop. There's 4 90-minute calls. Ego, Soul, Now, Best Self. But within that, there's a number of experiences, loads of different types of meditations which you feel for yourself. There's a toolbox you can then take into life, and you'll notice a difference straight away. And all the roles that we do play will all enhance. Your health will enhance, your happiness will enhance. So Saturday the 4th.
Check it out, reach out, get involved. How's a nice one, mate? Love to everybody. See you soon, yeah? Cheers, mate.